She thought he'd come back, but he never did. Hours turned into days, and the silence was deafening. What she discovered next would change everything she thought she knew about love, trust, and the man she thought she could never live without. You won't believe the truth behind what happened. The cold wind cut through the streets of Atlanta that night, rattling the empty branches of the trees like whispered warnings. In a small, dimly lit apartment on the outskirts of the city, 27-year-old Jasmine Reed sat curled on the floor, her knees pulled close to her chest. Tears streaked her face, mixing with the faint remnants of makeup she hadn't bothered to touch all day. The room smelled faintly of old coffee and mildew, but Jasmine barely noticed. All she could think about was him, Marcus. He promised me he'd be there. He promised, she whispered into the darkness, her voice trembling. Memories of the day replayed in her mind with painful clarity. That morning had started like any other. Marcus had kissed her goodbye, a quick, lingering touch that felt like a lifeline. "I'll be back before noon," he said, his voice firm but warm. She had smiled, trusting him, believing him, not knowing it would be the last time she would feel that sense of safety. By noon, the world had shifted. Marcus hadn't returned, and the silence that followed was heavier than any words could be. Jasmine's phone rang endlessly, but every call went straight to voicemail. Panic began to take root. She remembered the uneasy feeling in her gut, the tiny voice inside her that screamed something was wrong. She tried to shake it off, telling herself he was busy, maybe stuck in traffic, maybe helping someone in need. But as hours passed and the sun dipped low, doubt and fear grew like a storm gathering in the sky. Neighbors started noticing. Mrs. Thompson, an elderly woman from down the hall, peeked through her door, concern etched on her face. "Jasmine, honey, are you all right?" she asked softly. Jasmine forced a smile, nodding, but her eyes betrayed her. I think he's gone," she said, almost too quietly to hear herself. Mrs. Thompson didn't push, but she didn't leave either. She stayed in the hallway, a silent witness to Jasmine's spiraling thoughts, until night swallowed the city streets whole. By the next morning, Jasmine's fear had turned into something darker, something that gnawed at her from the inside. The police were finally called after a friend insisted. Officers arrived, polite but distant, like strangers stepping onto the edge of someone else's private grief. They asked questions Jasmine struggled to answer. Marcus's last known location. She remembered every detail: the coffee shop on Pine Street, the hurried text he had sent that morning. Nothing seemed unusual at the time, but as she recounted the events, officers exchanged quiet looks, notes scribbled quickly in small pads. Hours turned into days. Days turned into weeks. Each passing moment deepened the hollow pit in Jasmine's chest. Posters with his smiling face began appearing on lampposts, in stores, on social media. Each time she saw one, her chest tightened. People whispered behind her back, offering condolences or awkward glances, unsure of what to say to someone whose world had been suddenly upended. And yet, no answers came. No Marcus. Just questions that kept her awake at night, staring at the ceiling, wondering if the person she loved had ever existed at all, or if she had only been clinging to a ghost. Then, 3 weeks later, a call changed everything. Detective Harper, a seasoned officer with kind eyes and a voice that carried both authority and empathy, spoke softly. "We found something," he said. Jasmine's heart leapt, a mix of hope and terror twisting inside her. "Where is he?" Her voice cracked. Detective Harper hesitated, then continued, "It's complicated. I need you to come to the station." The ride there felt like moving through fog. Every red light, every honking car, every pedestrian passing by seemed to stretch time itself, as if the world were holding its breath. At the station, Detective Harper didn't waste words. "Marcus Reed was found," he began, watching Jasmine's reaction closely. Her stomach dropped. "Found? Where? Is he alive?" she asked, desperate. Harper shook his head gently. "No, he's gone, but what we discovered, it's something you need to know." He handed her a small, folded envelope. Her hands trembled as she opened it, revealing photographs and documents that Marcus had kept hidden from everyone, including her. The truth was staggering. Marcus had been living a double life, a secret that no one could have predicted. He had been trying to protect Jasmine without ever telling her, a dangerous situation that had finally caught up to him. He wasn't just missing. He had been caught in a series of events orchestrated by people who thrived in the shadows, people who had been after him for months. The very people who had made Jasmine feel abandoned and hopeless had been silently manipulating every step of his life. And now, the cost had been his life. Jasmine sat frozen, the world around her spinning with disbelief and grief. She stared at Marcus's handwriting on the documents, the careful details of places he had gone, people he had met, all laid out as if preparing for the worst. Why hadn't he told her? She asked herself the question over and over. But as she read, she understood. Marcus had wanted to protect her from this life of fear, to shield her from danger he knew she could never handle. Every lie, every omission, had been a shield, not a betrayal. Over the next few days, Jasmine struggled to process the truth. Friends and family came by, offering words of comfort, but none could touch the emptiness she felt. The city itself seemed different now. Familiar streets turned foreign, shadows longer, sounds sharper. Every corner reminded her of Marcus. The park bench where he had made her laugh, the coffee shop where he had held her hand, the apartment hallways that once echoed with their shared dreams. Everything was a memory, a cruel reminder of what had been stolen from her. Yet, amidst the heartbreak, Jasmine began to notice something else. Marcus's careful planning, his secret notes, the people he had helped, all painted a picture of a man who loved her beyond reason. The photographs included letters he had written to her, letters she never knew existed, expressing his hope that she would continue to live, to thrive, even in his absence. It was a bittersweet revelation, a combination of grief and awe, loss and love intertwined in a way that made her chest ache. One rainy afternoon, Jasmine returned to the park where she and Marcus had spent so many afternoons. She sat on the bench, the damp wind washing over her, carrying memories that felt both distant and immediate. In her hand, she held the letters, reading them aloud softly, letting the words sink into her soul. "I know you're strong, Jasmine. I know you'll survive this, even if it feels impossible. You are my heart, even when I am gone." Her lips trembled, tears mingling with the rain, and for the first time in weeks, she felt a strange sense of peace. Days turned into weeks, and Jasmine slowly began to rebuild her life, carrying Marcus's memory with her like both a wound and a guide. Every decision she made, every step she took, was influenced by the man who had loved her enough to protect her from truths she could never have faced. She started volunteering at a local shelter, helping women and children who had experienced hardship, remembering how Marcus had always found a way to give back, even in the smallest ways. Each act of kindness felt like a connection to him, a way to honor his life and the love he had given her. But the ache in her heart never truly faded. It lingered like a shadow at the edge of every smile, every laugh, every quiet moment alone. One evening, as the sun dipped low over the city skyline, Jasmine sat on her apartment balcony, the letters from Marcus spread around her like a fragile constellation of memories. She read them again, aloud this time, letting his words fill the cool night air. "You are stronger than you know, and even when I am gone, my love will be with you. Live, Jasmine. Live fully, bravely, without fear." Her voice cracked, but she smiled through her tears, realizing that this message, this final gift from Marcus, was exactly what she needed. The truth about his life, the danger he had shielded her from, and the sacrifices he had made were now hers to carry, not as a burden, but as a source of strength. Over time, Jasmine discovered a resilience she never knew she had. Friends noticed the quiet determination in her eyes, and even strangers would comment on this light she carried, a light that seemed to shine even after unimaginable loss. She began to share Marcus's story with others. Not the details of danger, but the essence of the love, the sacrifice, and the courage that had defined him. His life, though tragically cut short, became a testament to the power of protecting those we care about, even at great personal cost. Every single person who heard her story felt its weight, the raw emotion of it. It was a reminder that sometimes the hardest truths are the most necessary, and that the love that endures can transform grief into purpose. One chilly night, as Jasmine walked through the very streets where she had once searched for Marcus in a panic, she found herself stopping at the corner of Pine Street. She looked up at the darkened skyline, the same streets he had walked, and whispered into the wind, "I will carry you with me, always. Thank you for loving me enough to let me live fully." A gentle breeze stirred the papers she was holding, the letters fluttering like tiny wings, and for the first time, she felt an unshakable sense of peace. She knew Marcus's truth, his sacrifice, and his unwavering love would haunt her in the way that grief can haunt, but it wouldn't destroy her. Because it also reminded her that life, even in its darkest moments, could still be full of meaning, courage, and the quiet beauty of human connection. As the city lights glimmered against the night sky, Jasmine took a deep breath and smiled softly, a single tear sliding down her cheek. She had lost Marcus, yes, but in the echoes of his love, she had found herself. And in that discovery, she realized something powerful. Sometimes the ones we love most leave us to survive, not to suffer. The truth they leave behind, though painful, can shape us into the strongest versions of ourselves. And in that moment of realization, Jasmine finally understood the profound weight of Marcus's gift. It was the ultimate proof that love, even in absence, never truly dies. It reminds us that sometimes, the ones we love most leave us not to break us, but to show us how strong we can truly be. Even in loss, their love lives on, guiding every step we take. It becomes a part of our story, a part of our strength, a part of our light. If you've ever experienced a loss that changed you, you know this feeling. It's a heavy burden, but it's also a powerful gift. And that's the beautiful, heartbreaking truth about love and loss. They are two sides of the same coin. One cannot exist without the other. The pain of loss is a measure of the depth of our love. So when you feel that ache, remember the love that created it. Let it be your guide, your strength, and your reason to keep moving forward, to live a life that honors the memory of those you've lost. Because in doing so, you keep their spirit alive, not just in your heart, but in the world. Their love becomes a legacy, passed on through you. And that is a powerful thing indeed. Thank you for listening. Please subscribe for more stories that explore the depth of the human heart.